Hey everybody, welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe and welcome to my water garden.
So beautiful out
We
here.
get to be outside. Why haven't we done this for a while? We just decided we've been in the wine cellar and it's so beautiful out and it's not too terribly hot.
No, it's beautiful, and we have fans going on us, so we also look like supermodels.
So that's happening here today. I'm kind of really excited about today's episode because I am going to learn a lot myself. I've asked Michelle over and over again to share with us a little bit about her story as regards to modern day medicine and her roots and generational ties to Native American medicine. I have called her, my Lakota medicine woman, and maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. That's how I feel about her. We want to break some of these barriers down, talk about all kinds of natural remedies and how that works with maybe what you've got going on right now. So, stay tuned. Welcome to Find Your Lady Tribe. My name is Brenda.
And I am Michelle.
And it's our mission to build a community of lady tribes. A place to connect and grow your tribe with resources, ideas, workshops, retreats, and events. We invite you to join our inner circle and become a tribe leader. It's free!
Each week, we will start a conversation about connecting within your tribe and across all of our tribes. Our goal is to create 1,000 new lady tribes in 2022. And each episode will challenge you with a call to action. The first one is to join our inner circle. Go to tinyurl.com/myladytribe. And as a gratitude gift, we will send you a downloadable copy of Chapter 1 of Lady and the Tribe, The Awakening.
Yay! So please subscribe to be notified of a new episode each week. Welcome back. So I want to start by just asking Michelle, first of all, you went to school for how many years to become a pharmacist?
Way too long.
No, okay, you don't want to tell me?
No, technically, 9 college years and 2,000 practice hours, which is like a full year, full-time working.
So basically you are, as trained as a doctor.
Yeah, but in different things.
Differently.
In different things. Instead of diagnosis, we're actually the ones who are trained in the medicines, the chemistry part of healthcare.
Okay, so let's see, you did, what drew you to that in the first place? Let's just start there.
That's a great question. What drew me was wanting to help people, and the truth is that I was a single mom by myself on my own, but I was smart. So I was looking for something that I could do that I knew I could make a career of half time with like hospital or retail hours and still raise a kid on my own. And that's what drew me, was that it was a way to help people at the same time as be able to have a professional career that paid well.
Well, I'm grateful because that's how I met Michelle many years ago in the Safeway pharmacy here in a small town. And she was just this light behind the counter, as a mom of young kids who are always getting into anything and needing medicine for things. And, we moms were just trying to do our best. She was always just such a, comfort. And to me, and I know to many of our friends that knew you in the same way, just as the pharmacist for a while, literally saving lives. She's literally saved lives that we know of in our friend group. So, very grateful for that.
Thank you.
So on the other side of the scale, or whatever we want to call this, you are also very intrigued and interested in your own heritage in the Native American ways of healing and using different medicinals. I don't know what I would call them. So I would love for you to share just a little bit about what the differences. I'm going to just let you go with that. If there was a question in there.
Yeah, no, like the differences. Everybody asks me that, and I've been working to try to understand it better so that I could communicate it better. So the difference between modern healthcare and we call it Western medicine here in the United States, and traditional Native American medicine. And I think that the best way to contrast them is sort of talk about the philosophies that are behind them. And getting to know that Native American, in at least in the United States, or the territories that are the United States and Canada, that Native Americans were here first, and that the blend of what healthcare has become has changed quite a bit. And so the healing philosophy of Native American medicine is what's different. I think that Western medicine doesn't always focus on the healing aspects of the disease state or the purpose, right? We sometimes are quick to do a surgical thing, or in my world, a pharmaceutical thing to
cover it up,
to fix everything.
Right, like it.
Right.
It doesn't really fix it though.
To treat everything without ever really, and that's what we doctors and pharmacists do, is that we diagnose based on objective stuff, and then we match you up with a medication or several medications to be managed over years of your life, and now we're done. We won't probably see you again until the next bad thing happens, unless you're on something that you have to get every single month, and then I'm lucky enough to get to see my people and my friends all the time. But in the Native American healing is the philosophy itself, and it works on the basis of the whole person, which really hits home with us, because we are constantly focusing on the whole you, the mind, the body, and the spirit. And so we know that all those things go together into making you actually be well, and to bring those things in to experience true healing, not just to get some treatment, but to actually get some healing.
Well, and just live your life in a way that you never get that far down that rabbit hole, hopefully, right?
Exactly. Not to be reactive, but to be more proactive in the way that you nourish your body and, just live your life in general. Right. So there's 4 principles that the healing philosophy in Native American medicine focuses on. And those 4 things make up what we call the web of life in general. So there's lots of aspects of your life and your world, mine too, that are maybe career and home and family, and those are the aspects of life that
friends
that take on the places that we could be healthy with or unhealthy with. But in traditional medicine, there are people, so relationships. There are plants, all those herbals and medicinals. There are animals, and there is nature, earth. So when treating in traditional medicine, we're focused on those 4 aspects instead of sort of our modern life aspects that Western medicine focuses on. Okay, sound good?
I think I'm following you.
You're
so
with
far.
me. Okay, so those 4 aspects are a little different, but there's something to be said for going back into those principles to when you're looking at something, a disease state, or full healing, as opposed to just treatment of the day or treatment of the month.
Right. If you have to be on something forever to mask something, is that medicine really?
Well, it is. It depends on whose definition you're using. It is medicine by the, let's call that medication.
Okay.
And something that I say often is that you are the medicine. And that is the actual, in my tribal culture, Lakota tribal culture, the medicine is those four things. Those, the healing, or the people, the plants, the animals, and the nature. And if you think about that, it equates to relationships, to herbs and actual, applications of medicine. And animals are relationships with them, and
how we use them and how they help us,
how we nourish our bodies, or how we are in relationship with them in our environment. And then nature, or the earth. What we all know, that sitting next to a fountain or a stream, just even the sound of water is somehow healing.
It is.
And peaceful. So those are the four tenets that the Native American medicine focuses on.
Okay, well then there's also, or I don't know if I'm interrupting your thought, but I'm thinking there's also like holistic, medicine, and is that different or is the same? And Eastern medicine. I mean, are you going to talk about all of them?
I'll try to stick to Native American because I know it the best, and Western medicine because I know them the best. But yes, they're all ancient, other than Western medicine, right? If you imagine how people have humanity has sort of grown over time, that we all have so many more things in common across continents and time than the last, say, 70 years of Western medicine has brought to us. So yeah, it is kind of all the same, but specific to North American, Native, or indigenous cultural medicine.
Okay,
so important note, difference between medicine and medication. So medication's a pill in a bottle, and medicine are all those things that we apply in our life that bring us healing.
Okay.
All right, so here's the most philosophical and psychological qualities that bring us harmony and health in our life overall. And what I will tell you in Native American medicine is that prayers are the prescription.
Wow.
So literally in tribal cultures, if you came to see the medicine woman, she would not be at the counter. But if you came to see the medicine woman, she would be prescribing you prayers. And they may come to you in the form of rituals, ceremonies, maybe herbals or plants, but prescriptions come in the form of spiritual or psychological healing. So here are examples of the first ones. The four winds. You may notice that Native cultures say their prayers facing in certain directions, right? Have you seen that? Where
I didn't notice that.
Okay, so we point to the north, to the south, to the east, and to the west. And we're honoring the four winds when we do that in the directions. And those translate to heaven, to the earth, to the sun, and to the moon. And so the four winds and the four directions are where our prayers are sent, because obviously the heavens, the earth, the sun, and the moon really control all of our environment and our nature. And so that is where our prayers of prescription are sent in our rituals or ceremonies.
Okay.
Another thing, part of the most treasured Native American values in the culture are wisdom in the person, wisdom, humility, commitment, and compassion. And so when something's wrong, when something's off, it's very likely that there's something off in the person's values. And so working on your own wisdom, as opposed to my white coat respect that I may or may not have earned with you. Working with your own wisdom empowers you not to rely on anyone outside of yourself. So as a medicine woman, I would look first to you being in charge of knowing your body and yourself and having that wisdom for healing above my, I just met you and spent 15 minutes with you in my office type of wisdom.
I love hearing that, because that is one of the gripes, as you know, that I have about Western medicine, that I don't feel I'm being heard about what I know about myself.
Exactly.
And what I'm feeling, and the messages that I'm getting and drawn, the directions I'm drawn, those feelings aren't respected when I communicate them.
Right. And no degree on the wall negates your own wisdom and authority and autonomy over yourself or your own health. So that's probably one of the first tenets that makes Native American healing practices very different than our Western medicine. Humility. I know sometimes we all don't necessarily see humility in our doctors and lawyers and such. And humility is one of the most valued traits that a medicine woman can have, is to never speak down to someone else or speak over or think that I have any more information about you than you do. So humility is part of the practice
of the practitioner.
Yeah, and I didn't get that at pharmacy school.
Okay, right.
Right? And I think in healthcare, the way we pay for healthcare these days, which is a whole other topic, that the way we pay for healthcare in this day and age has made it a lucrative profession that draws people in and doesn't always align with the value of humility as we hope it would. Commitment and cooperation are the other two pillar values in Native American medicine. And that means that I'm committed to serving when that is my role. I'm committed to your healing. I'm not taking your money or the reimbursement in exchange for my service. I'm committed actually to you getting better. And I feel like, for me at least in my healthcare journey, is something that can be, you don't necessarily feel like you have a committed partner in your healthcare in Western medicine model per se. And cooperation. So it is a togetherness and a willingness to work together that brings the best healing. That you're in it with me and I'm in it with you, and it's a cooperative process. So the other prescription for healing that is super important in most Native cultures, and in the Lakota culture, our word for this is hamblecha, and hamblecha is the vision quest. It's actually the place and the time, that ceremony over time, where you find and search for the Great Spirit's guidance and your true life purpose. And
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Don't we all want that?
We honor that, and we help each other along the way to find that. And I equate this to like the psychiatrists and psychologists of our Western medicine model, right? Where we're really using some expertise and a partner to help us find our vision quest.
Even coaches.
Yeah. And in Lakota, Lakota tradition and most all Native cultures, the vision quest or the hamblecha is between you and God, and you and the Great Spirit, who you search for those things. A prescription or a treatment plan isn't written for that. And it very likely doesn't involve any medications or antidepressants or antipsychotics. It is building that relationship where you have that line of guidance spiritually all the time. There's importance placed on that, and that is a ceremony that every person has the opportunity to do for themselves. It's a rite of passage.
Oh,
yeah,
sounds great.
Amazing, right? Okay, then there's for women, and that is mostly men, but for women there are moon time rituals. And I don't just mean menstruation moon time rituals, but I mean the moving of the stars and the sun and the months and the years and the passing of time, where women get together in tribal connection and perform these rituals at moon time, so that no less than 1 weekend a month is spent in retreat together.
We're working on that. Just so you know.
We're working on that as well. And then there's also in Native American healing, energetic and touch therapies are critical, more critical than medications and herbal remedies are the actual laying of hands and energetic touch massage type of therapies. And so they hold a much higher place in the importance of your overall health or healing something that's wrong in Native American medicine than they do in Western medicine.
Well, it makes so much sense because, I mean, even in Western medicine, they've done studies on babies who weren't touched.
Yes, or held.
Yes. And how that some died without it or,
right.
or with a limited amount. So why wouldn't we carry that as a pillar of our medicine?
Right?
Just throughout.
Even I remember that I would just hold the hand of one of my children when they were sick. Remember how mommy could kiss a boo-boo and it was magically all better, just human touch. And we all have a need for touch to just even be generally healthy. And it's so important in our culture. And even after COVID, or after COVID, people missed out on treatments and touch that could have been life-saving. And isolation is, I can't believe that hospitals have isolation rooms, because isolation itself, the masks, the gloves, all of those things are just counterproductive to what we know is healthy, which is being in each other's energy and having each other's healing touch.
And even in a prison, it's punishment. Isolation.
That's true. It's true.
Yes.
So, to wrap up, really, Native American healing is counter-cultural to a lot of our philosophies of Western medicine. And the most important thing is, I think, that we can get you interested in healthcare, participating in your own and dialing into that web of life, those things that instead of being how is this affecting our friends, our career, our family, our money, how is your healthcare affecting your relationships, your people, your looking at the way you nourish your body, and how you think of nature and allow it to be a healing partner with you too. So flipping the script on Western medicine, where maybe doctors and insurance companies hold the power, and instead recognizing that there are powerful practices within each of us that don't actually require 8 years of school and a license to practice, because we are our own healers and we are the medicine.
Yes.
So we could dive into any one of those other topics about healing, but really we just want to think of the ways that we can start moving the needle, a little bit of how our tribe starts to think about their medications and their medicines, and just sort of, what to do about your healthcare situation if you don't like what it is or where it's going.
Yeah, don't you think, I mean, in this day and age and where we are and who we are, there is a place for both.
Oh, yes.
There's a place for both. And so I don't think Michelle or anybody's saying just throw away all those medications, just dump them because there's a plant or a pipe that'll do something, or a wind. I don't know. But, to, just ask the questions and
find the balance.
And find a balance of things that can work for you, and help in a different way, and be your own advocate, and not just take whatever one person that has a degree on the wall says as, I mean, they're very smart, and they know what they're saying, and they've been trained, and they have a lot of repetition in it, so there's value to that information, but it is not the end of the story. It doesn't have to be. So you have power there.
You do.
So what do you do if you're like, traditional healthcare? There's no healthcare.
Right.
Because a lot of holistic things don't.
Yeah, they call them alternative.
They don't work.
They call them alternative medicine, and they are just an alternative to Western medicine. But they might be not alternative at all. They might be primary for what you need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think taking back your own power, and your own autonomy over your healthcare and healthcare decisions, and then finding the balance. Nobody says that all this great technology and goodness that we have is completely valueless, but kind of finding that balance. A lot of people have dumped their healthcare because they're kind of disgusted with it, or it's turned into telehealth, or there isn't any personal connection or personal touch.
Or it's way too expensive. It's as much as a mortgage payment for some people.
For families, it can be.
I know, I've heard of many that don't have anything at all, and that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, there are some great alternatives out there that we can start looking at together when you do get responsible for your own healthcare, and you start to peek under the covers of what do you really need and what are you really paying for. I love health sharing options. If you haven't checked into that, it's sort of the catastrophic coverage with leaving the rest of the money in your budget to get that massage, or to take that vacation, which is what you actually really would make you not depressed any longer. Or, also expensive medications that you either are paying a really high copay or percentage of. I see this a lot with diabetes patients, that nowadays the newest fangled things that supposedly control your diabetes can be literally $5,000 a month by some magical injectable pump, and you feel like you must need to do that to stay alive, yet honestly you can control your diabetes based on what you eat and how you exercise.
Type 2.
Literally, type 2.
Yes.
But those are the now pharmaceutical world marketing ploys that have gotten us a bit dependent on those things and lost our power, our independence to take care of our own health. And probably the biggest question that I get asked is, well, can I just stop taking my medicine? I mean, the thought of it, the fact that you could has not even crossed people's mind. Or I love it when people say, I got to call my doctor and find out about that. And inevitably the doctors call right back to the pharmacy, to the pharmacist to ask, well, what about that medicine? Is that the medicine that they can stop it immediately? So the answer to that question is usually yes. I mean, other than, a blood thinner, or something that there's hardly anything that you can get in a pharmacy that is, unless it's delivered IV and emergency wise, there's hardly anything that will cause a life or death situation if you decide to take back your power. But there's really great people there to hold your hand and walk you through those kind of things to decide what of these things, if I can't afford them, it's medication or mortgage, then it's probably time to start looking into what do I need if I'm going to live my life in balance. And that's what's taken me back to my Native American roots, and what has made me call myself the pharmacist who doesn't believe in drugs, and be honored when you call me your medicine woman.
Yes. Well, you are. And so I think you have a call to action you wanted to suggest?
I do. If we always try to give you guys something to do that can tie into an action to remember these principles, remember these philosophies. So easy assignment is to take an inventory, maybe just of today, just of your medicine cabinet. Kind of write down all of the things that are there, and then pick one thing that is the thing that you currently believe that you could not live without. And see if that's really the truth, and if there's something about laying that most important thing down that it's possible to put you back in your power and put you back in your own decision-making place, and see just how good it is. And we would love to hear from you and personally interact with you. So you can go to our Facebook page for Find Your Lady Tribe.
Yeah, it's the Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle. We have so many.
And you can actually connect with Michelle at Linktree at Michelle Eileen and connect that way. And she has a Facebook page. All those things are going to be in the notes below. But yeah, please connect with us. We'd want you to be part of our tribe going forward.
Because when
three or more gather, we are tribe. Thank you so much for joining us today for Find Your Lady Tribe. Would you do us a favor and hit that like button and add a comment? It'll really help us grow.
Better yet, find the share arrow and share out to your tribe. Join us again next week on YouTube or your favorite podcast service.